Good morning, YouTube. I hope the day has greeted you well. It's me, the Wisdom Junkie. I'd like to right up front apologize for the length of this video. I've been lately trying to keep them down to 3 to 4 minutes, but this is going to be a long one. So I hope you stick with me. If not, that's okay. But this video is to talk a little bit more about my journaling life as a man. How I approach journaling, the different techniques that I use, why I write, stuff like that, and the different types of journals that I have. So we're going to have it basically in 3 different sections. Before I get into it, I wanted to share with you what I'm smoking today. My bent bulldog, Rinaldo bent bulldog. Isn't that a beautiful pipe? Gift to me from several different folks. I'm not for sure, but I'm fairly certain that the 3 people involved in gifting me this wonderful pipe were Tom 49670. Some of you met him at the Chicago Pipe Show. I probably have his numbers wrong. Damon, the Nomad Piper, who's no longer on YouTube, and the Great Bama Piper. Look at it. It's a beautiful pipe. Anyway, so as some of you might know, I wanted to sort of layer my channel, both. Right now I'm currently in pipes, and I talk a lot about books and philosophy, but I want to add another layer to it, and that is my life in journaling, and why I journal, and, from a man's perspective. There's a lot of girls and women out there on YouTube that talk about their journaling, but a handful of guys, and I think that I want to sort of share my experiences at it and really explain to people that, hey, it's okay. This is not just a girl thing. It's not just a woman thing. So, like I said, I've covered that before. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start to show you now some of the journals I have. We're going to start with my personal journal, and then we're going to go into journals I use for my grandchildren. And I'm going to show you a journal that I use for writing out like philosophy from other books, and then the end of this video will show you what I use for work. So let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so let's start with my very first journal I ever had. This was a gift to me from my wife, the Writers and Artists on Devotion Quotable Muse journal. It was nice. It was a gift. It's not something I would have bought for myself, but I used it. And the first entry was June 21st of 2014. Can't really see it there. There we go. Excuse me, 2004. And like all my other journals you will find, I sort of keep a table of contents on this side by date. So if I'm looking for a specific event or thing that occurred, I can just go back and find it by the date. And I've kind of kept this sort of thing going for the whole time. And this particular journal, like I said, I wasn't a really big fan of it. It's kind of cheesy to me. But I used it. Each page had like a sort of a quote, and it's supposed to be inspiring or whatever. To me, it was just sort of cheesy. But this is what I used for my very first one, and I was really looking forward to getting rid of it. Now, in it, also, I kept all the different things, different letters people have written me, different other writings I've made over the years. And this particular journal, the reason why I got into it in the first place was I was really into church, religion, and God, and I was going through a conversion process. And so basically all of this is filled with nothing but theological thoughts and writings on Christianity. all of it, from front page to the back page. And initially, that's what sparked my interest in journaling. I mean, here's Latin prayers. You know, I told you I was really into it. And so that was my very first journal. After this journal, I decided to go to something completely different. This. Now this is only purchasable. You can only get this at Barnes & Noble. It's called, get this, the Distressed Brown Leather Journal, and it cost a whopping $19.95. Originally, it had a leather strap right here. It went around, it would wrap it around itself to sort of close it. Well, that lasted about 5 minutes before it broke. So let's take a look at it. It's a pretty simple concept, actually. All it is a piece of, honestly, pretty cheap leather that you would slide refills into. What refills? These refills. Simple, to the point, not ostentatious or pretentious, but still very good quality. This is basically a cardboard here that's reinforced along here. Again, these are only available through Barnes & Noble, and it's called the Craft, K-R-A-F-T refill, and they're 5x7. You know how much these cost? $5.95. And look how many pages you get out of them. I mean, a lot. So I went to these in 2005, and I've been with them basically ever since. I've been using them pretty religiously, as demonstrated here. So here are all my other previous journals. So that one got me from 04 to 05. This one here, 05 to 08. 08 to 12, 12 to 14, and this one's currently being worked on from 14 to present day. So these are them, guys. This is what I've used over the years, and I like them. I like them very much. Again, they can only get them through Barnes & Noble. I'm not a big fan of like the Moleskines. I'm not a big fan of the Midori Traveling Notebook. I know a couple people have done reviews on those, including Stuff and Things did recently a whole Midori Traveler's Notebook. That stuff's just not for me, guys. This is what I enjoy right here, and it's because of its simplicity, honestly. So let's take a look at some of the stuff that we have in here and how I go about doing, writing. So again, here we are in 2005, and I keep sort of a table of contents based on the date and what it is I'm writing about, what's going on. So, here's some different topics I wrote about: worldly reality versus spirituality, humans being made flawed, the power of materialism, thoughts on good works. And you'll see sort of this, for me, that's what I like to write about. I told you in the beginning I would write a lot about my religious life and my theological ideas and thoughts. But as time progressed, as time went by, I got more and more in depth with things. And I started to move away from religion a little bit. And that's what's neat about journaling, is you can go back and see where you were compared to where you are now. And it really is quite fascinating. And I've really grown quite a bit. And here we can see here, and then I want to get into it here, 5:30, the beginning of a downward spiral for me, especially in terms of questioning my faith. So I don't want to get into all my faith and religious beliefs, but basically I journaled my entire journey into faith and back out of it again, and then sort of where I am at today. And it's all because it's all documented. And to me, that's pretty cool. But then that morphed into more of a daily routine about what was going on a particular day. So here we have a day on March 23rd of 2000 and whatever the year this is, 12. This was a weekend spent completely overhauling a backyard and trimming and tilling and sprinkling, fixing sprinklers and going on and on. And so here we have just daily life. So it's not just about deep thoughts and philosophy either, by any stretch of the imagination. And guys, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to journal and what you need to journal about and how you're going to do it. There's a lot of different videos out there that explain different types of journaling, what you can do, and sort of structure, and you have gratefulness journals, happiness, I mean, just whatever. I don't get into that. I write about what the hell it is I want to write about. And, you know, here's this, the 14 car accident, trip to Colorado, you know, jury duty, just all kinds of stuff. So what do I put in them? Well, I mostly just write, honestly. But every once in a while, I'll put something in there that is just sort of a memento of something. Like, for instance, here's, I don't know why I just kept the freaking plane ticket. I went out to Colorado with different pictures, different things, and that's sort of it. And that's my approach to my personal journal. Next up, we have my philosophical journal. And basically what happened was I was reading a lot of Ralph Waldo Emerson and not understanding a whole hell of a lot of what he was saying. So I needed to start to slow down and sort of break down line by line what he was saying so I could better understand it. Because this you know, I have no life. And it's really it's really helped me because I've been able to go and try to reapproach and reinterpret what he was saying in more modern language. So this here is just a random journal. I think I bought it at Barnes & Noble. Not very much. My interpretations of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And here again, my table of contents, my interpretation of self-reliance, spiritual laws, uses of a great man on the essay called Nature. And here is just my obsession with writing. There's chapter 5 of discipline on the essay of nature and so on and so forth. Now, these have actually come in pretty handy because myself and Bama Piper, you might have noticed Bama Piper quoting and doing some videos on Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he and I on Voxer have gone through and sort of looked at those, you know, that nature essay and broken it down. And it's these interpretations, these writings that I've put in here on that particular essay have helped me immensely in trying to interpret what is being said and actually having a decent and productive discussion over Voxer with him about about Emerson's writings. So that is I call it my philosophy approach to journaling, just a completely separate use of time. All right, the third form of journaling I have has to do with children. My grandson, my granddaughter. He's almost 4, she's almost 2. And what these do is they document literally everything. You can see I'm a bit obsessive with things. From before they were born to the day they were born, all the way up to what's going on as recent as yesterday. And it's basically, rather than a scrapbook, yes, there's pictures in there, but look, we're going to call this a journal flip through. I mean, it's just story after story about his life, just all these little things here. I made this sort of timeline of his very first year to try and lay everything out about the different points in his life that were significant in his first year of life, so on and so forth. So it's just a cool little journal that I've kept for him, and I intend to keep until he's able to be old enough to have his own journal and write his own story. Until then, I'm going to write it for him. March 28th. Today you were playing in the backyard in the mud while I was smoking a pipe and reading. Suddenly I heard you say the word ass. I asked you if you said a bad word. You denied it, but then you said it again and again. I told you that when your mother was young, I would put soap in her mouth, and when she said dirty words, and if you said it again, I would do the same thing to you. Sure enough, you decided to test me on it. You said ass again. I said, okay, come with me. I got your dad some liquid hand soap and told you to open up. You enthusiastically opened your mouth and went got the soap, you smiled back at me, you spit it on the ground and asked for more. Then you rubbed your toes in the mix of soap and saliva and said, okay, and I gave you another squirt. You spit it out again, laughed at us, and started blowing bubbles with it. What soap remained in your mouth? Then you asked me if we could go blow bubbles together. So, that's the boy. Anyway, so that's the storytelling of his life. Because here's the reality, folks, is these moments pass us by, and yeah, you might be able to remember, oh yeah, we went to a trip to a cornfield, but are you going to remember the details of that day? The details of what happened. And the fact that we went through a tunnel, and his reaction to that. And then we saw a plane that went overhead, and he told us to stop the car. How are you going to remember that when you're going back and looking at a picture? So that's the point of the children's journal. No, like I said before, I actually have his birth documented down to the time. From the 26th of 2011. Sorry, the time, what was happening at that particular time. Broken down. Everything. The whole story of his birth is in here. And the same thing with his sister. When his sister was born, I bought a journal, and we started the same thing. Story of her birth. It's a little letter to her from me, and then we start going on about her birth. All the way to trips, words she's saying, so on and so forth. Daily stories. I mean, even going up to and touching last night. So, those are some of my approach to journals and my sickness. I wanted to share it with you guys from a personal perspective. Next up, we're going to talk about my work journaling. So here we go. So one of the things I tend to do in my personal journals is completely separate work from personal life. But the fact is, I spent a lot of my time in my life at work. So I felt like I was sort of robbing myself of the preservation of memories of, quite a bit of my life at work. So in 2012, I decided to go ahead and start journaling work-related things. And just like in life, I completely separate work from home. And so I usually actually keep these at work. And I only brought them home just for this video. And one of the things that I was willing to do with my work journals that I'm not willing to do with my personal journals are try out new and different types of journals. That's an OCD thing for me, I suppose. So this particular journal came with actually a really nice metal cover. That was a gift from my daughter in 2012. Obviously I filled it up in about 2 years, but this is just basically the insert. So what do I do in these things? Well, just like every other journal I own, I sort of go through and write about what's happening in my work life. I also tend to keep different things, news articles about work, whatever may have happened, training classes I've had, thank you cards from people that I get, different mementos, things that have been written about me. And in this particular journal, just like in my other ones, I've got my table of contents, but in this one I have it in the back instead of the front. I don't know why. What do I talk about in them? Well, this is funny. I forgot about this. I'm in management, and I caught a girl doing something she shouldn't have been doing. And kiddingly, I told her that she needed to write that she wouldn't do that thing 100 times. And, of course, I was kidding, but being a smartass as she is, she actually did it and then turned it into me. So, of course, you're not going to not keep that, right? So just little memories of work. What I do in these things is I basically jot down what's happening that day in work, or if I learn something, a new process or a procedure, I'll generally document it so I can refer back to it. I'll take notes on different things that I want to maybe refer back to someday. This is my current work journal. It's just one of these sort of really cheaply leather-bound journals. I think I got it at Walgreens, but it's like I don't know. It serves its purpose, but same thing. We've got different cards I've kept over the years. Thank you notes. Here's an actual diagram system of our electrical system that we have at work. In case something bad happens, I have a general understanding of how to deal with it. Things like that. And then back here, I have a place for cards that people have sent me over the years, and once again, table of contents. So those are my work journals. I don't fill them out as oftenly as I do my personal ones, but I do obviously fill them out and preserve work memories. Like I said, either things that are going on, people I've talked to, lessons I've learned, specifically in leadership. Sometimes I'll write down some ideas on leadership or quotes or whatever. I'll refer back to them. So that's the work journals, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I know it was a long video, but I wanted to sort of show you guys this sickness that I have called journaling. Future videos might include sort of inspiration, where I get inspiration from to write, and sort of my approach, and I probably might detail that a little bit more as time goes. Perhaps more detailed flip-throughs of journals and readings, of course, and maybe we might even go back in time and revisit some of the stories of my past and my thoughts on my own thoughts on philosophy and religion. So I appreciate you guys watching, and Smoking Lamp is out. We'll see ya.